Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jermaine Whiteside, and I'm a doctoral student at Liberty University School of Divinity. Today, I'm presenting chapter 1 of my Dissertation-in-Praxis project, which focuses on addressing a governance problem at Anointed Connect. The title of this chapter is The Problem in Praxis, and it identifies the strategic problem that motivates this entire Dissertation-in-Praxis project. Over the next 12 to 15 minutes, I'll walk you through the organizational context, define the strategic problem, explain the theoretical foundation, and describe the praxis intervention I'm proposing. Let's begin. This presentation is structured around 4 main components. First, I'll describe the strategic problem, governance ambiguity at Anointed Connect organization, which results from a lack of documented structures despite increasing organizational complexity. Second, I'll explain the theoretical foundation, planning theory, which serves as the interpretive lens for understanding this problem and guiding the intervention. Third, I'll outline the praxis intervention, a sole director leadership model supported by defined oversight protocols and codified decision pathways. Finally, I'll discuss the expected outcomes, reduce decision cycle time, increase role clarity, and enhance accountability structures. Let's start by establishing the organizational context. Anointed Connect Church is an online faith community that operates without physical walls. Members worship online at different times from locations around the world. The church is organized as a South Carolina nonprofit corporation with a unique governance structure. A single member provides governance. This is legally permissible under South Carolina Code Section 33-31-101, which allows nonprofit corporations to have as few as one member. However, this creates specific challenges. The organization holds IRS Section 501c tax-exempt status, which requires demonstrable organizational accountability. It operates complex digital ministry operations and serves a global membership base, which introduces complications related to charitable registration laws, employment laws across multiple states, and data privacy regulations. The challenge is this: legal minimalism creates governance ambiguity. While the one member structure is legally valid, it leaves decision authority, accountability boundaries, and responsibility attribution undefined. As organizational complexity has increased, the absence of documented governance structures has become a strategic problem rather than merely an administrative inconvenience. So, what exactly is the strategic problem? At its core, the problem is a misalignment between organizational scale and the absence of documented governance structure. This misalignment produces 3 critical consequences. First, delayed decision making. Routine decisions escalate unnecessarily because there are no clear pathways for resolution. This creates operational bottlenecks that slow ministry effectiveness. Second, inconsistent operational responses. Without defined processes, the organization responds to situations in an ad hoc manner rather than following systematic approaches. This inconsistency undermines reliability and makes continuous improvement difficult. Third, unclear accountability. When responsibility is diffuse, it becomes difficult to identify which process require adjustment. You can't improve what you can't measure, and you can't measure what isn't clearly assigned. From a planning theory perspective, Kettner and colleagues describe these conditions as examples of planning failure. The organization has not established the structures necessary to solve problems effectively. So, what exactly is the strategic problem? At its core, the problem is a misalignment between organizational scale and the absence of documented governance structure. This misalignment produces 3 critical consequences. First, delayed decision making. Routine decisions escalate unnecessarily because there are no clear pathways for resolution. This creates operational bottlenecks that slow ministry effectiveness. Second, inconsistent operational responses. Without defined processes, the organization responds to situations in an ad hoc manner rather than following systematic approaches. This inconsistency undermines reliability and makes continuous improvement difficult. Third, unclear accountability. When responsibility is diffuse, it becomes difficult to identify which processes require adjustment. You can't improve what you can't measure, and you can't measure what isn't clearly assigned. From a planning theory perspective, Kettner and colleagues describe these conditions as examples of planning failure. The organization has not established the structures necessary to solve problems effectively. This brings us to the theoretical foundation for this project. Planning theory by Kettner, Maroney, and Martin argue that organizations must align design, authority, and decision processes with their purpose and scale. As organizations increase in complexity, regardless of their size, they require formal approaches to leadership and governance. Planning theory identifies three essential questions that must be answered during program implementation. One, who has authority to make decisions? Two, who will fulfill specific roles? Three, how will decisions be communicated? At Anointed Connect organization, this essential step was never fully realized. Authority exists in practice, but it has not been codified. Roles are fulfilled, but boundaries are unclear. Decisions are communicated, but pathways are informal. Planning theory provides the interpretive lens for understanding why this ambiguity creates strategic risk and how codification can resolve it. It's important to understand how this dissertation in praxis differs from a traditional PhD dissertation. A traditional PhD focuses on a gap in the literature. Its purpose is to generate new theory and contribute to academic knowledge. The deliverable is a research study that fills a conceptual hole in scholarly understanding. A dissertation in praxis, by contrast, focuses on a gap in application. Its purpose is to apply existing theory to solve practical problems in real organizations. The deliverable is an implemented intervention that produces measurable organizational improvement. In this project, I'm not trying to develop new theory about governance or planning. Extensive literature already addresses these topics. Instead, I'm identifying an application gap. Anointed Connect organization has not applied existing governance knowledge to develop a model aligned with its organizational form. This is a practice problem, not a research problem. The solution lies in implementation, not theory generation. So, what is the proposed intervention? The praxis intervention involves implementing a sole director leadership model with defined oversight processes. This model is designed to address the ambiguity in decision making I've described. The intervention includes three components. First, amended bylaws. These bylaws formally codify the leadership authority that has previously been exercised informally. They establish clear decision rights and accountability boundaries. Second, a governance manual. This manual documents decision authorities and creates a reference point for who decides what, who must be consulted, and who must be informed. Third, decision protocols. These protocols establish clear pathways for routine operational decisions and define escalation procedures for exceptional situations. Together, these components address the planning failure by answering Kettner's essential questions: who has authority, who fulfills roles, and how decisions are communicated. The deliverable is not a theoretical proposal, it's an operationalized governance structure that has been implemented and is ready for assessment. What outcomes do we expect from this intervention? First, reduce decision cycle time. By establishing clear authority pathways, the intervention eliminates unnecessary escalation and delays. Decisions that previously required extensive informal negotiation can now follow documented processes. Second, increased role clarity. When responsibilities are documented, confusion about who decides what is eliminated. This clarity reduces friction and enables faster execution. Third, enhanced accountability. When responsibility and authority are aligned, it becomes possible to make data informed improvements. You can identify which processes work well and which require adjustment. These outcomes are measurable, decision cycle time can be tracked, role clarity can be assessed through surveys. Accountability can be evaluated by examining whether decisions are being made at the appropriate level. The focus is on implementing the governance model and assessing early indicators of effectiveness. This is consistent with both planning theory and the praxis model's emphasis on incremental, evidence based improvement. Let me be clear about the scholarly posture guiding this work. This study does not seek to generate a new theory. That's not the purpose of a dissertation in praxis. Instead, planning theory serves as an interpretive lens, a framework for understanding the problem and guiding implementation within existing organizational realities. The theory helps me identify which information must be collected and which structural adjustments are required. But determining the precise form of the solution remains the responsibility of the local church. I'm not imposing a generic governance model. I'm working collaboratively with Anointed Connect organization to apply theoretical insights to their specific context. This reflects the posture of a scholarly practitioner, someone who seeks practical improvements informed by rigorous scholarship but accountable to the organizational realities on the ground. To conclude, Chapter 1 establishes four critical foundations for this dissertation and praxis project. It identifies a strategic problem rooted in organizational reality, governance ambiguity caused by the absence of documented structures despite increasing complexity. It provides a theoretical foundation in planning theory. Organizations must align their design, authority, and decision processes with purpose and scale. It proposes a practical intervention with measurable outcomes, a sole directive model supported by amended bylaws, a governance manual, and decision protocols. And it confirms that this is an application gap, not a research gap. Existing theory is sufficient. The challenge is implementation. With this foundation in place, subsequent chapters will develop the literature framework, design the strategic plan, implement the intervention, and assess outcomes.